on, guys? It's LadyB. Now, you might hear quite often that air does not work in Town Hall 13, that it's all ground meta, and this is not necessarily true. So I'm going to show you 3 different air raids used by the pros to get it done and show why air is not dead in Town Hall 13. So the first one to showcase is probably one of the most common air strategies right now to triple, and that is the Edrag Attack. Now with this particular Edrag Attack, he is bringing in some loons similar to a drag loon. So we essentially have an electro loon. And he utilizes his heroes to set off the funnel. I also kind of want to point out that if you look at the clock, he had just about a minute to spare on the clock, so he ripped through the space very quickly. Edrags right now in Town Hall 13 do some nice work, so you can see with the time factor there and the fact that he's picking up the triple, we're seeing more and more of these coming along. Now sets up that funnel, allows the queen to take out the royal champ and to take out an air defense, and the king's used to help tank along the way and clear out a bit of a path for the Edrags. And with him clearing that path, he's able to set up another Edrag for the bookend funnel on that 2 to 3 o'clock side of the base and have the RC come in and help take out the other AD that the queen was not able to take out here. And this sets up a little bit more narrow of an initial path here for the Edrags, lining them up and then getting the loons right down and behind them, which actually sweep right ahead. Similar to utilizing a drag loon, the Edrag loon works very similarly, and you want those loons moving through and taking on those defenses and allowing the drags to work behind, spread out, and take out the other structures and virtually assist here. So he gets that beautiful power through the Grand Warden Tome, getting just through the center of the base, and the delayed Stone Slammer here actually cuts in at a very nice point, taking on the multi-targeting Inferno and working through with more push and power of the loons coming in, plus that additional bonus of the Edrag. So it really set up for a nice path with the Suey portion. This base had the natural layout of it initially. You can see here how he utilized the shape of the base to get the funnel that he wanted, but ultimately a great power through with those Edrags and great value with what he picked off one by one. So Edrags are going to be one of your air go-tos for Town Hall 13. Number 2, we do see a lot of dragons, and this particular one actually works really well. We're seeing variations of Queen Walk and Queen Charge drag attacks, but what's really unique about this one, why it works so nicely, is particularly because of this base, he sends in the blimp to knock out this corner of the base that has the multi-targeting Inferno, the scatter shot, and an AD. So he sections it off perfectly to allow his queen to walk the outside, take on the royal champ, and move up towards a town hall, getting excellent value. He's essentially cutting the space in half with just the blimp and the queen walk. And now with that multi-targeting Inferno down, the queen, well, not the queen, but her healers are no longer subject to those beams, and he can keep his queen going longer. So queen sets up such a beautiful funnel here, working her way down. You can see has to contend, unfortunately, with the CC. We do see a lot of Ice Golem CCs, and this is to prevent ground attacks. So this is why we are seeing more air, because it does work very nicely. Now granted, his queen walk takes a little bit longer because she's got to get through this, but he carves out a nice path and has already sectioned off a good portion of the base to allow the Edrags to work through. Now with that set, he can get started with the remainder of the funnel for his dragons, and that's by setting the king in place from that 6 o'clock side, working parallel from where the queen is, a couple of wizards to help as well, and then drop in the drags. And again, you see the use of the loons going along, and that's because the loons do a nice job pushing through and taking out those defenses early on and not allowing the dragons to get too much damage to them right off the bat here. So queen gets through the town hall as the drags start underway, and she is still going strong. And this is a beautiful split up and division of the base, so the drags don't have to spread out too far and can continue pathing through and doing their work. The Grand Warden ability right there in the center of the base as they're trying to contend with all that nasty damage right in the center. And with the Royal Champ coming through on the outskirts because he's already used his blimp and the CC, the Royal Champ serves as a very nice reinforcement troop here to help with those defenses. With the drag spreading out, you have some nice work in the center of the base, couple right on the outside, plus the assist from the Queen, who still has her ability. This ability was not even needed. That's how beautifully this raid can work, and definitely a viable way for you to pick up the 3-star in Town Hall 13. The third one is the Suey Lalo. Now this is more like a Suey Charge Lalo, and I actually have two to show you from Vatang. Really, Vatang has figured out what to do with Suey Lalo and get it done in Town Hall 13. And it starts off here with the King. So the King doing some tanking, shaping up the base here, but also clearing the path for the Queen. Now what Diff does is actually takes advantage of a very weak point in the base, because the value the King can actually get here, he's picking up some Teslas, which was unknown, but he can shape it up nice enough to allow the Queen access here. Drops those wall breaks in to get the Queen able to move in to the multi-targeting Infernos. And she not only takes that out, she takes out the multi-targeting Inferno, Wizard Tower, Air Defense, and the Queen, and she continues to carry on because he starts his Lalo before the Queen gets targeted by too many other defenses. So she's able to come in for the assist with the cleanup here. This is a spectacular Suey Charge, because your Queen essentially is naked. She's there, she's on her own, and she's getting the value done. So continues to work through that Loon, and the Stone Slammer come in. They allow the Queen a little more room to breathe here to continue on her pathing, and he can get set with his Lalo. So really what it comes down to is pathing your way through. He creates a nice shape up here, getting an initial narrow push for the Suey portion, and it almost starts looking like a Queen Charge Lalo in that sense, without the added necessity of the healers and that extra impact on the value of the troops that you're using. So Loon's path through nicely. He delays the Grand Warden slightly to come in with the main pack, straight towards that center of the base. But if you notice, the RC has not been dropped in any corners. She's all the way up at the 12 o'clock side of the base. So essentially he's using this RC for the back end, because he's already utilized his Stone Slammer coming in to do the tanking. So really smart here, really powerful, for the simple fact that that RC was not needed until the very end, and virtually for cleanup and knocking out a couple of defenses that the Loons easily would have taken down. So Vatang knowing how to get it done. And let's take a look at another example from them. So again, Vatang getting it done here with the Suey. I call it a Suey Charge, and I'm actually going to pause this here. I call it a Suey Charge because it's essentially a Suey Lalo, except you're charging that Queen through with various tanking features. So you can just use your King, but in this particular one, because they want a little more value out of this charge, they use Ice Golems, and the Ice Golems actually are great value here and allow the Queen to push through. So you have a shattered kind of Suey Charge coming in here with a jump, leading the Queen to take out a multi-targeting Inferno, two Wizard Towers, an Archer Tower, Air Defense, Scatter Shot, Expo, although I think the RC takes out the Expo, and an Air Sweep. But this is incredible value. Let's continue to take a look. I am just beyond impressed at how Vatang has been handling air attacks in Town Hall 13, as everybody's been worried about what's gone on with them, but clearly they are doing something right here. So he gets this lined up and set. Zoom in a little bit so we can see it better. But he sacrifices his King to the Royal to take her out. So that's why he needs the Ice Golems to do the tanking for the Queen here. Baby Dragons on bookends to help with the funnel here. And the RC coming in right around that 1130 side of the base to help out. Corner off the section here as well and take out some additional defenses. And I think she does go and knock out the Expo there as well. But look at the value that the Queen got. Baby Drag also serves as a little bit of an assist to pick up a trap along the way that the Loons won't have to worry about. But this RC definitely goes the distance, and between those heroes and just a couple of Baby Drags and two Ice Golems, 35% of the base is taken out, and there's just like a nice section, a nice narrow section of the space that you have to contend with. So he's able to send in his Lalo portion here with a blimp coming directly through. And again, we're gonna see that similar pattern that I'm talking about, and that's housing a drag in the CC if you're doing Lalos. So drags seem to be kind of the key factor in getting air done here. Several other factors, but I like to point that out, that we're seeing a lot of success with dragons being used in these Lalo CCs. So that Edrag gets right in the center of the base, takes a nice lead, and takes on the impact of that eagle long enough to allow these loons to get through. But look at this. Look at how swiftly these loons move through the hastes, all in a beautiful pattern here, just avoiding the impact of that eagle and getting in just in time to knock it down. So much left over. That Edrag definitely did them a favor there, holding off the initial impact and force of the eagle to allow them to push through and get done with the defenses here. A nice save on some loons to help with the cleanup, but he had plenty of minions and pups there for the assist. That's how the pros are getting it done with air in Town Hall 13. Let me know if you guys are using air and what strategies are working best for you. Until next time, this is LadyB. I'll catch you guys later.